advance all the way. Of course, you had your meals at night time. That's when you're in the front line, and you got just bully stew and your cigarettes. And
was that once a day?
Once a day, yeah, of course. You always had your own. You had your hard tack, but I was very lucky. I was lucky enough to, before Alamein, to get jaundice.
That was lucky.
That's a lot of people know the yellow jaundice. They called us the yellow men, and where the Yankee ambulance, they were taking wounded and that back to the hospital stations, and I, with many others, was sent up to Palestine. So I had about 3 weeks in Palestine, which allowed me to do a lot of travel, well, a fair bit of travelling through Jerusalem, you know, the Holy Land, and that sort of business, and then we were called back again, and then we finished back in Tobruk.
So how long were you away from the front at that time?
About 3 weeks.
Were you allowed to do whatever you wanted to do?
Up to a point. I mean, you're still in the army and you have to do as you're told, but you're all still under army supervision, you know.
So were you in hotels
when
or
we
tents?
Pardon?
Were you in hotels or were you in tents? In the pyramids? Where did you
What,
sleep?
4-star? No, in army camps, and you're treated the same there as the first army camp you went into. It's still, you had your parades in the morning and that sort of business, but you didn't have any drill though. You were just you were convalescent. Mm-hmm. Well, before that, actually, I spent a fortnight in Helwan Hospital. Then they sent me up to Palestine to recuperate and, you know, and come back. But I was put in, when we moved at night time, you can man hundreds and hundreds of trucks, so well, the whole division would move, and you'd move at night time, and it'd be pretty dark, and you can imagine front line of traffic doing about 30 kilometres an hour, and there's hundreds of trucks behind, and some of those blokes would be doing 100 because they'd stop and start and catch up, you know.
Yeah.
And the front blokes would be nice and steady all the way. Well, even then, sometimes we used to have the Americans going up there, they'd be passing you while we're still stopped because we couldn't move anymore. Before we got there, the Yanks were on the way back, so they didn't muck around at all.
And did you all have to travel in one straight line?
Oh, no, not in the desert. No, you just line abreast, and every truck carried steel plates that they put down underneath the wheels if they got stuck. So, there's all sorts of trials and things that happened in that way.
Was it cold at night?
Oh, very cold at night. It was very, very hot in the daytime, and then the whole sand would chill, and it'd be quite cold. It was a pleasure to get a bit of a spell like that, but no, it was very cold in the desert. But the funny thing is sometimes if you're back behind the front line a while, Egyptians would come up to you and they'd say, eggs are cooked, and that would be eggs, they'd got chooky eggs, and they cooked them. I don't know where they put them in the sun was hot enough to cook them, but right from the middle of the desert they'd appear from nowhere. Eggs to cook or to sell the eggs, you know. But because more or less Bedouins, I suppose, because they're quite a different race altogether. But at the end of the war, of course, it was just packing up, and then the end of the Desert War, rather, it was just packing up and coming back to base camp again, Mardi, and training again, and then getting fit again. And then went to Alexandria, and we put on board ship, because they split the troops up, so if a ship went down, everybody wouldn't be on the one ship, the one company sort of style, wouldn't be all on the one ship. And when we travelled across there to Toronto, which was near the toe of Italy, and that was our base camp in Italy, and from there we kind of moved up through Italy.
When you say moved up through Italy, were you moving up, fighting all the way up through Italy?
Yeah, no, you must understand that the 5th Brigade, or any brigade in the Army, the British Army, or whatever, they're all there too. We had all sorts of troops in there. We all didn't fight the same day in the same place and anything like that. I mean, you can imagine extended a line right across Italy almost,
yeah,
breadth-wise. So it might be somebody on the seaside that had advanced a bit, and then someone else had more advanced a bit the other side. Like there's a place, the salt marshes, and there was never everything had gone across it. But the Kiwi Brigade, the 5th Brigade, was taken around behind the salt marshes, so we had to go a long way inland. The Jerry didn't even know we were coming round there. So it was a lot of night travelling and camouflaging on the way. But when I say they didn't know, of course they had a fair idea. Because I can remember one night we were outside, we got out of our trucks and we were sleeping outside, and all of a sudden you could hear, and we knew what it was bombers. And they would just come down, whether they knew that somebody lit a cigarette or something, but they start firing. Because we get up and run. There's some of that rocks and the death is not too
forgiving?
Yeah, you'd be in your bare feet, but you never felt it until you stopped. You'd run in all directions, but luckily, because if some of those things that hit a truck put it alight, you'd be pretty well open all right. But just little things that happened on the road. We going around on that side. There was a French. I don't know how big they were. It was a brigade or what it was, but the French were in there too. And of course, typical of the Kiwis, when they found a truck, and a lot of time it was a jerry truck, and when, of course, if it had broken down, a Kiwi, and if he found it, he would fix it. And of course, so far, we had a few jerry trucks in our convoy. And the French saw them, and they give us hell for a while, and see some of the blokes skidding all around the back there, but they shelled us. And all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but after a little while, I don't know whether the blue flares or what, some flares went up, indicating to the French that we were British. So then it stopped. But that's when we were attacked by the French on their own, you know. But, quite interesting really. You start to get a bit scared for a while, and everybody getting out of the trucks. And
After hearing that, I was getting the idea that I was enjoying it more up till now.
Yeah, me too.
And, you know, now what I'm talking about, that was the desert, of course, where I've been into Italy enough, but I've come back to the desert for some reason. But
you were telling me a little bit earlier about lighting a cigarette inside a shell.
Oh, when we're in, of course, when you never ever lit you never smoked your cigarettes at night time, although we've got an issue of cigarettes. And you pull a tunic over the top of your head and light it. Then we used to get a spent bullet and poke a cigarette into the end of it, and then take a big drawer, and of course when you draw a cigarette it all lights up, but the shell, we used to hide that, and so we could get tuck down in the corner of our sit bench and have a smoke at night time. But if anybody caught you, put that bloody cigarette out, you know. So, no, he didn't do that. He didn't do that.